Amen, say man. This is the A-Man Show back at it again for more content. Kawhi Leonard throughout the last 3 years with the LA Clippers have been one of the most injury-prone superstars ever. This is a man who has plenty of seasons of which he missed a substantial amount of games and even missed the entire season due to injuries. And looking at the present, it seems like the end of the road is coming for Kawhi Leonard. For 3 straight seasons, every time he enters into the playoffs, there's always something wrong with his knee, and that always keeps him out from the playoffs. Despite all the issues regarding injuries, he still somehow in some way created a legendary career within 12 seasons. He accomplished so much team accolades, meaning championships and finals MVPs, but never really stamped his name high in the all-time leaderboards. So in this video, I'm finna discuss why Kawhi Leonard has the most unorthodox and unique career maybe ever. But first, before this video starts, make sure y'all subscribe. I post NBA and NFL content. Turn on post notifications so that way you don't miss anything new from me. Anyways, stay tuned and let's get it. Kawhi Leonard was drafted as the 15th overall pick in a very underrated 2011 draft class that consists of Kyrie, Klay Thompson, Kemba Walker, Jimmy Butler, Tobias Harris, and Isaiah Thomas. From then being traded from the Pacers to the Spurs, Kawhi was surrounded with success early on, as the Spurs were among the very front runners to win the West each year, and in fact, in just 2 seasons with the Spurs, the team has made it all the way to the 2013 NBA Finals, in which they will lose in 7 against the Big Three Heat. But during that time, Kawhi Leonard was mainly a 3-and-D specialist with high upside and potential. That came into the 2014 season where Kawhi will make another jump as far as his defensive ability, being selected second team all defense, and the Spurs that year had the best record across the NBA with 62 wins, and they again made it all the way to the finals where they finally beat the Heat 5 games. Kawhi in that series averaged 18 points per game while grabbing 6 rebounds and 2 assists, while shooting extremely efficient from the field, and most importantly slowed down LeBron, and was, let alone, the best defensive player of that series. Ultimately and deservingly won Finals MVP. This series is where Kawhi Leonard truly broke out, because the following season is where he's now viewed as the main first option for the Spurs. Not only he will improve his offensive input, but on the defensive end, he was the best defensive player in the NBA, winning his first of many of his Defensive Player of the Year awards. Because of him, the Spurs allowed the lowest amount of points per game, allowing with just 93 points per game, and first in defensive rating with a 97 rating. Despite his jump in his play, the defending champions have lost a step, only winning 55 games that season. Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, Manu Ginobili were getting up there in age, and that played a factor against the Clippers when they actually lost in 7 against the Clippers in the first round. Despite that, Kawhi Leonard stepped up as the first option, putting up 20 a game, 7 rebounds, 3 assists on 48, 42, 77 shooting splits, but his supporting cast did not step up one bit. The very next season, the Spurs signed LaMarcus Aldridge in the 2015 offseason on a 4-year, $80 million deal to pair alongside Kawhi and extend the Spurs championship window. In 2016 is where Kawhi will break out as an All-Star and even become a starter in the All-Star game, averaging 21 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists, shooting nearly 50-40-90 splits. He also went back-to-back in Defensive Player of the Years and was actually second in MVP voting. This is probably Kawhi's most underrated season of his career. Not only he has been further established as one of the greatest perimeter defenders in NBA history, but he was one of the most, if not the most efficient scorer in the league, right behind Curry. Because of his contributions, the Spurs won 66 games that year, but only made it as the second seed that year behind the Warriors. Going into the playoffs, we were expecting the Spurs versus Warriors matchup in the Western Conference Finals, but unfortunately the Spurs got bounced by the Thunder in 6 games, all because of Tim Duncan playing like dog shit. Tony Parker wasn't doing so much offensively, and then the rest of the role guys weren't good either. Kawhi Leonard stepped up as usual, and so did LaMarcus Aldridge, but like I said, it wasn't much to push the Spurs further. Now Tim Duncan retired, and now it is time for Kawhi Leonard to fully take the reins for this franchise, and in 2017 is where Kawhi Leonard will fully emerge as a superstar in the NBA, averaging 26 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, shooting 49% from the field, 38% from 3 on 5 attempts, and on 88% from the charity stripe, and he did this on 61% true shooting. He also made first team all defense, was third in defensive player of the year voting, and most importantly, he was third in MVP voting. I actually made a vid on this particular season way back saying why Kawhi Leonard deserved to win the MVP that year. Now looking back at it, I still think he had a legitimate case, but Russell Westbrook's season was never before seen for the last 50 years, so I don't think that Kawhi had a chance to win it that year. Even though he was third in MVP voting, Kawhi Leonard has proven that he is better than the likes of a James Harden and a Russell Westbrook based on the regular season and the playoffs combined. In the first round, Kawhi averaged 31 points per game, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, shooting literally 50-40-90 splits that series against Memphis. And that series was very competitive looking back at it, but at the end of the day, the Spurs were just the better overall team, top to bottom. Now moving forward to the Houston series where Kawhi did dip a little bit. And because of it, it made more of a challenge for San Antonio to get over Houston. But like I said at the end, San Antonio has proven that they're the better team, especially what they did without Kawhi in Game 6 at Houston's home floor, smacking them and making James Harden look like a bitch out there. San Antonio advanced to the conference finals against the KD Warriors at their peak. And based on what they did in the first half of Game 1, it was looking like San Antonio was going to make it a competitive series. Kawhi Leonard puts up 26 points on 7 of 13 shooting in just 23 minutes of the game, but fucking fiend Zaza Pachulia injures Kawhi's ankle and he will be out for the remainder of the game. Not only he will be out for the remainder of that game, but he will be out for the remainder of the series. And without them, San Antonio gets swept by the Warriors. Now we're getting towards the nitty gritty of the video, and that is Kawhi's absence throughout the 2018 season. Kawhi, during that season, only played 9 games of the year, and he will be the talk of the season. News has been spread that Kawhi's quad injury has not healed properly, and Kawhi started to get real frustrated with the team doctors. Not just that, but the locker room was causing a divide due to this situation. During late February of that year, the team doctor examined Kawhi and said that medically cleared to play, but in the last second, Kawhi said that he opted out for the remainder of the season, and that right there shows that Kawhi is going to get traded out of San Antonio sooner or later. Not only he lost trust to the medical staff, but he lost trust to the Spurs organization. Therefore, on July 18th of 2018, on his last year of his contract, Kawhi Leonard was sent along with Danny Green to the Toronto Raptors in exchange for DeMar DeRozan, Jakob Poeltl, and a first-round pick in 2019, which ended up to be Keldon Johnson. With a new organization that was built for DeMar DeRozan and Kyle Lowry to compete, it was now Kawhi Leonard's team with new head coach Nick Nurse. Not many people expected the Raptors to be this good, especially when you're dealing with the Bucks, the Celtics, and even the Sixers. During the first half of the 2019 season, the Raptors were among the top 3 seeds in the East and were ranked among the top offense and defense in the league. Kawhi will continue to get better, averaging 27 points per game, 7 rebounds, 3 assists, shooting his usual almost 50-40-90 splits. The Raptors knew that in order to keep Kawhi around and to win it all as well, they need to improve on the rim protection. And although Jonas Valanciunas is a very solid center, but he's not good on the defensive end. So in the trade deadline, the Raptors send Valanciunas along with CJ Miles and DeLon Wright and a second-round pick to the Grizzlies for Marc Gasol. And that bolstered their roster into the best defense in the NBA after the All-Star break. The Raptors will finish the regular season as the 2nd seed in the Eastern Conference behind the Bucks, and the memorable finals run begins with a win against the Orlando Magic in 5 games. Whatever. But in the later rounds is where Kawhi will make his statements, such as hitting a game winner in Game 7 of the semis and being the primary defender to Giannis. The Raptors will win the East to advance to the NBA Finals for the first time in franchise history, where they will face the Warriors. Kawhi Leonard showed up in every facet of the game, being the Raptors' go-to scorer as well as the anchor for the defense. And the supporting cast played as well as they did compared to all the series in that championship run. Now, I will say that hadn't KD nor Klay Thompson gotten injured, then the Warriors would have three-peated. But that's not taking away from what Kawhi Leonard has done throughout that postseason. The man averaged 31 points, 9 rebounds, 3 assists, shooting 49% from the field, 38% from 3, and 88% from the charity strike. almost 50-40-90 splits. Basically, the guy had one of the greatest playoff runs ever, and he did this without a player on the roster who was named an All-Star that year. With that run, puts him in the conversation as the best player in the NBA in 2019. Going into the offseason, well, the historic 2019 offseason, Kawhi Leonard was a free agent and he had the opportunity to run it back and go for a back-to-back at Toronto. Hell, the city of Toronto gave him free restaurants throughout the city, but in shocking fashion, Kawhi decided to go back home to Los Angeles, where he signed with the Clippers after the team traded their future for PG to compete now. That, along with the best bench in the league, let alone supporting cast in the league, the Clippers were poised to make a run at a championship. Clippers will finish second in the West behind their rival in the Lakers, and Kawhi will have another career here as a pro, making second team all defense along with second team all NBA, and was fifth in MVP voting. Now, going into the postseason, they had to face the 7th-seeded Mavericks, in which they are better than the record shows. Luka Doncic broke out as a superstar and led the Mavs to the best offensive rating in the NBA. During that round, the Clippers were struggling against this team even though they won in 6 games. The Clippers would have got bounced in the first round had Kristaps Porzingis got injured during that round. Both Luka and Porzingis were going crazy, that along with PG being Pandemic P. The Clippers were going to lose until Kawhi Leonard showed up and showed the entire league that he is the best player in the game. Now on to the second round against the battle-tested Denver Nuggets, the same team coming off from a 3-1 deficit against the Jazz in the first round. It's going to be another tough matchup for the Clippers, and seeing how Denver is healthy, the Clippers run will eventually get cut short. Paul George will have games where he was just flat out anus. The supporting cast was fucking anus as well, especially on the defensive end. Montrezl Harrell, for example. And Kawhi Leonard, especially in Game 7, had one of his worst games of his career. This resulted in the Clippers blowing a 3-1 lead against the Denver Nuggets. That Clippers team was supposed to match up against the Lakers in the conference finals for the Battle of LA, but instead we got Denver, so whatever. And then here on out, Kawhi Leonard will continue to have superstar level seasons, but in the playoffs, the man will struggle with injuries. Game 4 of the conference semis against Utah, where he blew out his knee during the last minutes of the fourth quarter. Since then, he missed the entire year in 22, and then the following season, Kawhi Leonard was in and out in lineups, and in the playoffs that year, only played 2 games, and also PG was out for the entire playoffs as well too. And then we get to this year, where Kawhi has played the most amount of games since 2017, but like I said, in the playoffs, Kawhi only played 2 games, and he did not look the same since coming back from that injury. So looking at his career overall, Kawhi Leonard did enough to really cement his case among the top 20 to 25 players in history. Mind you that Kawhi may be the best perimeter defender ever at his peak, winning back-to-back Defensive Player of the Year, has been a 6-time All-Star, 6-time All-NBA, 7-time All-Defense, including 3 first-team All-Defense selections, and most importantly, winning 2 championships along with being the Finals MVP in both championships, specifically in 2019, where he had one of the best playoff runs ever. Kawhi Leonard has already proven that he's among the top 10 players at his position ever. Maybe not better than a Larry Bird, KD, nor LeBron, nor Julius Erving, but Kawhi Leonard is well around that top 5 over guys like Scottie Pippen, George Gervin, all of these guys. Kawhi has all the accolades, but is not even in the top 150 in total points. Kawhi Leonard is not even higher than the likes of a Jeff Green, Kemba Walker of all people, CJ McCollum, Al Horford, and even Nikola Jokic already is higher all time than Kawhi Leonard, and almost all of them don't have a better career resume than Leonard, and it's likely that Kawhi is going to retire after the season's finished. The reason why I said that is because Leonard is too injury prone, and given his injury history and his age, is only going to go downward if he continues to play this game. And since PG is now a free agent and is likely going to lead the Clippers, there's no point for Kawhi Leonard to play this game for much longer. Therefore, he should retire. If you look at his accolades and his achievements in his 12-year career, he has accomplished much more than half the players that were ranked among the top 10 players at their position ever, despite not being even in the top 150 in total scoring, rebounding, and assists for a career. Not just that, but this is a guy who won very early on, went to Toronto and won in just his first season It made him not just the best player in the NBA, but also the best player to ever play for Toronto. Is very unorthodox, but is unique as well. And that's pretty much why I titled this video. All the situations and the accolades Kawhi Leonard achieved in just a short amount of time makes him have the most unorthodox and unique careers in NBA history. And that's the video. Let me know in the comment section below what y'all think about this long video. Y'all go check out the Luka Doncic vid after this. Link is in the top right corner. And make sure y'all subscribe for more NBA and NFL content in the future. Road to 1K subs. Turn on post notifications. And that is all. Stay litty. This is the A-Man Show. Sign out.